Explorer, you've arrived at the threshold of an epic journey where self-love meets fitness. Gather your courage as we seek to challenge the limits of our bodies, become mentally resilient, and learn to cherish ourselves for the beautiful individuals we are. Along the way, we'll be joined by incredible mentors in the pole and fitness community who will share their wealth of knowledge to help you blossom. This is the Pole Adventures podcast, and your adventure starts now. Welcome, explorers, to another episode of Pole Adventures. I'm your host, Paris, an eternally struggling pole dancer, here to bring you the wisdom of the pole comedian. As you can probably tell, she loves combining her theatre background with pole and was the original pole dancing T-Rex that went viral a while back. She's also been on America's Got Talent, features on Playboy, and has performed, taught, competed, and judged pole internationally. So today we'll be exploring the mentality of the word fat and how we can better love ourselves. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
First, I'd love for you to tell us a bit about your pole adventure. So what was your why for pole?
My why for pole? Honestly, back in the day, originally I was working Renaissance fairs, and a lot of my friends did silks or circus, and I was like 2% hipster, so I wanted to be different. So I went to a pole dance class, and I guess I just really enjoyed it. It was very physically challenging for me. It was just something different, a little out of the box. So I just kind of rolled with it, and here I am 10 years later.
Awesome. And for our fellow nervous beginners, do you have an embarrassing pole moment to share?
Oh my God, all my moments are bad.
that aren't for comedic effect.
No, I'm an embarrassment. I swear people come to my classes when I teach to hear what the hell is going to come out of my mouth next. But I think, let's see, I've got one of my memorable ones, and I bring it up to my students pretty frequently, actually, because a lot of my students are first-time performers, and so they're always fearful. Oh, what if I fuck it up?
Yeah.
Well, I have many I messed up on stage stories, but I think the one that's most prevalent in my brain is I was wearing heels and I fell getting onto stage. This was for a competition, by the way. So I fell getting onto stage. I tripped over my own prop, and then I fell getting off stage the same way I fell getting on stage. Boom, boom, boom. And it's just in those moments, I'm like, yeah, we're just not going to talk about this one anymore.
But did everybody laugh? Did they think that was part of the
No one said anything at all.
I don't know if that's worse or better.
I don't know, but I remember it.
Yeah. That's the thing. We always remember our own big moments, but nobody else remember it.
To be honest with you, I'm pretty confident, no one else probably noticed, or they just didn't think of it, but to me it felt horrible. Felt like a million miles a minute. I was moving in slow motion, tripping over my prop and just making an ass of myself. It was great.
Yeah. So to get to our topic, I know you advocate for the word fat to be socially redefined. Can you explain the story behind that?
Yeah, I mean, it's for my own selfish benefit, to be honest with you. So growing up, I was exceedingly overweight. So depending on where in the world you are, to give you context, I was over 200 pounds when I was 10 years old, which is approximately 100 some odd kilo. For a 10-year-old, that's especially quite large.
Is that a medical thing, or?
I do have an underactive thyroid, so a little bit, but there was also a lot happening in my life. And I think that early on, I developed quite an unusual relationship with food. I try to stay away from the terms like eating disorder, only because it was never diagnosed as an eating disorder, and I wasn't bulimic, and I did not eat. I just really enjoyed eating. Yeah. And I think for me, eating gave me that, and actually now that I'm talking about it, I have ADHD, so it's probably in a way me trying to get a dopamine hit, and I didn't know it back then. That's what I was doing. And now that I think about it, I think I just had an aha moment literally right now. That makes a lot of sense, actually. But yeah, I was very overweight, and I was made fun of a lot for my weight by other kids, by other people. You know, it just was a really big traumatizing thing in my life. Um, and so now oops, sorry. Woof. Someone really wants to get hold of me. Um, Now as an adult, it's something that I catch myself doing, like having this weird fat phobia. And I think part of that is there's this stigma about being fat and how it's a bad thing. It's always a bad thing. If you're fat, you're lazy. If you're fat, you eat, you don't take care of yourself. And that's not, I mean, maybe sometimes that could be true, but just as much as being too skinny, that could also be the case where you're not taking care of yourself and you're not eating enough or the right things. So it's funny to me how fat is used as a weaponized word. It's almost like the word slut. You know, girls will go to girls and be like, oh, she's such a slut. Whereas now people are like, yeah, I'm a slut. What of it? So I kind of want to take back the word fat and make it less of a weapon and more just, I guess, a statement. Like, it doesn't matter. Fat is not a dirty word, and it shouldn't be used in that context. And being fat doesn't make someone any lesser or greater or anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a word.
Just a word,
You know?
yeah. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, to that extent, you know, my partner is very, very lean, but hasn't eaten in all of his childhood up until like now, didn't eat any fruits or vegetables at all. So,
Oh my God. Which is hilarious. I ate vegetables my whole life. I love fruits and vegetables. Like, I just love food though in general. So
me too. Me too.
oh my God. I just ate a huge bag of popcorn. It was delicious. Like, popcorn and lollies are the two things. You put it in front of me, you open it up, there's no willpower. I'm just
No,
gonna
no,
eat
no.
it. It's gone.
So, how can we go about measuring our progress and success, you know, through fitness and pole, you know, through a body positive lens rather than, you know, somebody looking at you or you looking at yourself in the mirror?
You know, it's a hard pill to swallow. And, you know, I'm not going to go ahead and say, oh, I'm perfect every day. I look in the mirror and I love myself all the time. Like, that's so not true. But what can help work towards being better is focusing less on your size or your weight and thinking more about what can I do today that I couldn't do yesterday? You know, what tricks can I do? What flow can I do? Is this easier for me? Do I feel good? Do I feel strong? Am I more confident? Do I move more like beautifully? Like, what, there are other ways to measure your progression that have nothing to do with your aesthetic and how big or small you are, you know? So I think looking at that is way more valuable and important than, oh, I gained weight. Meh.
That voice came out of nowhere.
I'm so sorry.
It's
It's like, I'm not schizophrenic, but I have voices in my head. You know,
that was cute.
thanks.
What about the more internal dialogue? You know, do you have any strategies for combating that negative self-talk and body image?
Oh, God, woof. That is a question and a half. You know, again, I think, gosh, you know, I've been in therapy for years to try to figure that one out. And I think just focusing on the feeling, you know, how do you feel? It's, again, a tough pill to swallow. It's like telling someone who's anxious to just, have you tried relaxing?
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just coming to terms with the fact that your value as a human is not related to your waist size or your pant size or whatever, you know. And I think that's what gets us in that trap of like, oh, fat is bad, you know, if I'm fatter, I'm lesser. And to switch your mentality to not think of it that way, like you might, I mean, honestly, like I know people who've gained weight, but they've gotten slimmer too. Weight is such a terrible gauge of
Yeah.
anything. But it's just such a hard pill. I don't have a direct answer for that because I don't think there is one. I think it's just trying to swallow the pill of redefining what fat means to you and what fat means, not you, but like the royal you, you know, everyone
Yeah.
as an individual. and to know that as you get older, your body's going to change no matter what you do. So just accept it and keep moving, feeling good, eating healthy, whatever that means for you, and to be accepting that there's going to be fluctuations and changes as you age and as you change and as things move. That's normal. There's nothing wrong with that.
So in the early days when you were, maybe looking in the mirror and getting stuck in that spiral, is that what you did?
Oh my God, no. It's really, I fluctuate a lot in my weight, partially because of the underactive thyroid and partially just because I'm a human, and not 3 owls in a trench coat. I actually had this moment more recently than not where I'm in more of a weight gain period of my life. And I look back on the pictures of me when I was much, much slimmer. And I just remember, I remember standing there taking that picture, and all I could see is how fat I was. And so, really, does it matter? Do I feel any less fat now than I did then? No. I feel just as fat. And so I think having that moment, that realization, actually was really empowering, because it doesn't matter. I'm always going to think I'm fat. My brain does this weird trick on me where I look in the mirror and all I see is this huge, unworthy human sometimes. And so I think, it's an everyday practice and exercise, like doing push-ups or practicing a trick. You have to keep telling yourself, this does not matter, which is why I want to say the word fat as much as possible and not use it as a negative thing, because it's not.
Yeah, that's a really good. That's a really good point. Using it as much as possible so that we get used to it.
Well, I think it hurts my soul a little bit when I see my students who, would be labeled as fat, and their mentality is, oh, I can't do pole because I'm fat. And it's like, that's just so not true. And whoever told that to you, you need to slap in the face.
So how could we, for those people, how could you, adapt the training to make it more inclusive for all shapes and sizes?
I think it's important for everyone to approach things individually. There's not one size fits all with anything anything that sells itself as one size fits all is lying. Every body is different, whether it's larger or skinnier. There's going to be challenges. A good example of that is, for me, Gennaro is fucking impossible because my ass is huge. And I love my butt, I do, but it makes it much harder to get myself into the position where I can actually hold. I'm very flexible. I'm very strong. But my ass does not like that trick, and for me, it's going to be a matter of finding a way that works for my body. What works for me might not work for somebody who has not a lesser ass is in value, but a smaller one. And that's true about tummies. That's true about boobs. There's some of my students with very large chests that certain tricks kind of hurt. You just kind of have to lift them up and over, Get a little creative and not. I think as an instructor, it's important to look at someone's body, not for size, but for shape, and say, okay, we're doing a chopper, and this person's shape is a little more round in the center. What can I do to help, knowing the mechanics behind a chopper? What can I do, and how can I cue this student to help them out so that they can more readily find success? It's not an easy answer, but it takes a little creativity.
Yeah, I think another thing to remember is that your so-called weakness might be a strength in other ways. Like I remember doing, I have thick thighs, as they say.
I save lives.
Yeah, and doing a waterfall is still one of my easiest things for me because I can grip that really well. But for other people who are super skinny, who are like, it hurts so much.
Oh my God, yeah. Your waterfall, would that be like a cross ankle?
Yeah, you mean cross the legs and you lay back.
Yeah, that's a great example. I know a lot of students who are very, very tiny who really struggle with that one. It's very hard for them. For me, thick thighs save lives. It was more hard. It was more scary. And I think that's something too that we need to get out of the habit of doing. I hate when you show up to a class and the instructor's like, "This is easy." It's like, well, maybe for you. I don't iron X. That's not easy. Fuck off.
Yeah, so on that, do you have any tips for reclaiming parts of our bodies that we don't like? For example, your butt. you had a
I mean, for my ass, I mean, and it's funny too, because I've definitely had moments in studio spaces where people have used me as an example of a girl with an ass doing pole. And I actually I understand that they're trying to do it as a way of empowering like other students, but I actually found it kind of insulting. Like, what do you, like, it almost felt like a backhanded compliment, like, if she can do it, you can do it. It's like, what are you saying? Are you saying my butt's bigger than her butt? Like, what? No, that's not like, I know you're trying to be nice, but it just doesn't come off that way. Sorry, you had asked me a question and I completely
about like reclaiming parts of your body that you don't like.
Yes. I think you got to remember that whatever part of the body you might be insecure about, there's probably someone in a different place who is paying money to get that shape.
That's very true.
We just went through a whole Kim Kardashian phase where everyone was getting butt implants and all I had to do was squat. But I think it just boils down to embracing your body. It works really hard for you. And especially if you're getting on a pole, like, it is working extra hard to save your life. We hang upside down by the skin of our armpits. Like that's impressive. And so I think it's a matter of accepting that and thanking yourself. Like, I didn't die today. Thank you, body. Good.
It is a win.
Yeah. We're not injured. We're not dead. Excellent.
Do you have any thoughts on how we can use pole to send this message of body positivity and self-love?
I think I need to see more butts. It's interesting because you'll walk into those level 1 classes and you'll see the girls in leggings and sweaters. And you can just you can see the insecurity on their faces of like, ooh, that's very naked. So to be honest with you, I wear as little clothing as possible when I'm teaching, because I want the body is just a body, and the less we try to, the more we can look at it like that and just appreciate it for what it does, like, the better off we're going to be. Like, not necessarily sexualizing it. I mean, you can if you want to. I don't know, it doesn't matter. But not placing such a high emphasis on a particular look or a particular body type. I once had a studio, this was years ago, like 5 or 6 years ago. They didn't want me wearing like a thong to class because of my butt, but there were like other girls wearing thongs to classes, and I'm like,
it's discriminatory.
Yeah, it just like it was during an age when there was a big separation of like the sport and the sexy, and I feel like now there's a lot more awareness and less people being assholes. But like, it's a very, like, I think the claim was like, oh, well, I don't want anyone's pussy juices on the pole or something like that. Yeah, it was like a really dumb reason.
You clean the pole afterwards, just saying.
Well, yeah, you put some meths on it. Also, my vagina's not popping out. Like, even if it did, just clean it off. It'll be fine, Like, we're not sharing poles. Like, this shouldn't be an issue. No matter what shorts I wear to class, it will be a thong by the end. Okay, just the way it works.
There is that trend where you come in and you're fully clothed, and then by the end of a couple months, you're practically naked.
It depends on my mood now. Like, when I'm teaching like tricks, like leveled classes, I'll definitely wear as little clothing as possible. However, if I'm teaching stretch or flow, we're gonna wear leggings. We're gonna wear sweatpants. We're gonna wear all the clothes. I'm gonna look like a homeless person. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite look.
Homeless.
Yeah, homeless. Because it's so comfy, you know, you wear a
Honestly,
nice
me too.
wear
I,
something comfy,
I
you
just
know.
wear what I want, thanks. I don't want to wear a push-up bra every day. Jeez.
No, or makeup. Like, I mean, kudos to people who do, because that is a lot of effort, but I am far too lazy.
Me
Like,
too.
I barely do my hair.
What about social media in general? Do you have any tips for handling that with?
Don't feed the trolls. You know, it's interesting because I actually, a couple of years ago, when I first moved to New Zealand, there was a bunch of people on the internet, not necessarily Kiwis, just in general, like random strangers who were making a lot of really nasty comments about my body. And at first, I felt really hurt, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that I cried a little bit sometimes. But what got birthed from that is my Every Body is Beautiful challenge, which I now do once a year. And it's literally just a week of posting pictures that make you feel good, pictures of your body. That's it. There's no prizes, there's no incentive. It's just meant to be to kind of help people accept themselves and just feel good about themselves for 7 days and show that off. As far as like generalized usage of social media, just don't. My grandmother has a saying, or she used to when she was alive. It's a Yiddish saying, and for any Yiddish speakers, I apologize in advance for completely botching the way this is said. But the phrase is "Vashvos cheza von Noshkin," which means "What do pigs know from noodles?"
Sorry, what was that?
What do pigs know from noodles?
Oh,
Basically, small-minded people will never know what's outside their world. You know, if pigs only eat noodles, they're only going to know noodles. They won't know anything else outside of that. And I feel like that's something that really speaks to my soul. You know, when you see someone make a comment like that, when you see someone who's being ignorant, it's only because that's all they know. Or they're being a troll. But, you know, either way, it's like you don't pay them any mind because they don't mean anything. They're just people on the internet.
feel sorry for them because they're small-minded.
I feel sorry that they feel that they have to take time out of their day to be a dick. You know? Like, there's enough assholes in the world. Why you gotta be so miserable? Just be nice. Just be nice.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, if there was just one thing you could let every pole dancer know, what would that be?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh my God. At one thing every pole dancer should know. Don't feel like you have to be somebody else. I think it's a trap, especially in the beginning. You know, you look up to people and celebrities and
Celebrities.
instructors, you know, and you're like, I want to be just like this person. It's like, you can't. Not because you can't do the level of tricks or have the caliber of moving, you know, like whatever it is about that person that you like, you're never going to be that person because they're the only ones that get to be that person. You know, you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
Be who you are, because who you are is what makes it special and unique. And if you have no idea what that is, that's okay. You have plenty of time to explore it. But it always drives me nuts when I see people on stage that are just so clearly trying to emulate somebody as opposed to really feeling it in their soul. You know, you can really tell that difference when someone's like just feeling it, you know? So I would say every pole dancer should be them. Be yourself.
It sounds airy-fairy, but it's true.
It's so true. And it's a hard pill to swallow, man. We're packing them into this talk. Hard pill to swallow. And dumb. It feels dumb to say.
Yeah.
But it's so true.
Aim to be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself. Try to be the best. Be the best you can be. Be unapologetic and completely authentically that. You know, and that's not to say you won't fuck up or you won't do something wrong. Like, that's okay. It's okay to fuck up. Just acknowledge it. Move on.
And I know you do coaching and workshops. Would you like to let us know a bit more about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be super honest and just say that I've kind of wind down a little bit in favor of cat mom muggle life. But I do have some workshops. One of my favorites is my inversion clinic, meant for people having trouble who are to invert, because I was one of those fuckers. It took me about 2.5 to 4 years to be able to do a chopper. So I know really well how not to do it. I've got Kiss Class, which I used to teach, and I'm best friends with the owner of Dandelion Pole and Fitness in Orlando, Florida, and Kiss Class came from them. It's Keep It Simple Sexy, and it's just like a very beginner, literally intro level choreo class, so that you can focus on your body and what you're doing rather than having to focus on remembering choreo. And then I've got a Bird Paradise workshop, because that took me forever and I had to learn it myself. I'll probably do a satellite workshop for the same reasons.
Awesome. And where can our explorers best find you?
Instagram, definitely, at the Pole Comedian.
Awesome. So make sure to go check that out, guys. And thank you so much for being our guide on being fat and being not fat. The word fat.
I am very happy to be here and to be fat. I'm going to get fat and sassy, as they say, yeah?
And thanks for everyone else for tuning in. And we've reached the end of our adventure today. So until next time, remember to stay strong, keep pushing your limits, and embrace your individual journey.
Don't forget to grab your free access to the Pole Adventures Compendium, a collection of incredible resources to help you progress on your pole journey. And if you enjoyed today's adventure, make sure to leave a review so other explorers can embark on the journey with us. This is the Pole Adventures podcast, and your next adventure awaits.